Are you feeling the pressure of being single in your 30s, wondering if something is wrong with you, or questioning whether your prayers are even being heard anymore? So many carry this silent weight, comparing themselves to those around them, watching weddings pass by like clockwork while their own path remains paused. And it's not easy, is it? Let's take a deep breath together and shift the lens, because sometimes what you see as a delay is actually divine protection or preparation, even if your heart doesn't understand it yet. The truth is, singlehood in your 30s isn't a curse. It's a test, yes, but also a space for deep healing, personal growth, spiritual grounding, and unseen blessings unfolding quietly. You may have envisioned a life by now that looks different. Perhaps you imagined a spouse, children, and a home full of warmth. But instead, you find yourself alone on weekends, fending off intrusive questions and battling thoughts that try to convince you're behind in life. But you're not behind, you're just on a path that looks different. And different doesn't mean wrong. The Creator who designed your journey hasn't overlooked you, forgotten you, or put you in a waiting room with no exit. In fact, this very stage of your life is filled with more spiritual richness than many realize. Mufti Menk reminds us that the path to peace starts with gratitude for where you are, not obsession over where you're not. So, pause for a moment. Look at what this season offers. You have the freedom to build yourself emotionally, spiritually, and intellectually without the responsibilities that come with a partnership. That's not emptiness, that's opportunity. And this isn't about pretending you're not hurting or lonely. It's about holding space for both longing and trust, knowing that the merciful is never late, even if the calendar says otherwise. It's about rewriting the definition of fulfillment. Instead of saying, "I'll be happy when I'm married," what if we said, "I'll grow and live with purpose now"? And if marriage comes, it comes by the plan of the one who knows what's best for me. You're not less than anyone because of your status. Your worth was never attached to your relationship status. It was written the day you were born. And the beauty is, when you stop chasing timelines and start embracing your now, the peace that enters your heart is unmatched. You begin to see the blessings you were too distracted to notice before. The time for prayer, the space to heal childhood wounds, the chance to help others, and the power to strengthen your connection with the one who created you. Every delay is not a denial, and just because your story looks different doesn't mean it's any less beautiful. So if you're waking up each day feeling like you're stuck in a pause, remember, this pause may be preparing you for something extraordinary. The Creator isn't ignoring you, He's shaping you. And perhaps He is holding you back from marrying the wrong person, giving you time to discover what truly matters, so that when the right soul comes, you won't lose yourself in them. You'll walk alongside them, already whole. The pressure may be real, but it doesn't have to steal your joy. Don't let society's timelines rush your soul's process. You are exactly where you're meant to be, and what's written for you will never miss you. So take a moment, breathe in the truth, and ask yourself, not why am I still single, but what is this season here to teach me? Because when you begin to look at singlehood not as a punishment, but as a platform, not as a burden but a bridge, everything starts to shift. Keep building, keep becoming, and keep trusting that the best stories often unfold in silence, behind closed doors, and in the heart that continues to hope even when the wait feels long. Your journey isn't behind. It's blessed, and you're not late. You're right on time for what was written just for you. So let's be honest. Navigating singlehood in your 30s can feel like you're walking a path that few talk about, one that's often filled with unspoken questions and quiet heartbreak. You smile at weddings, you show up for others, you keep going like everything is fine. But deep down, there's a part of you whispering, when will it be my turn? And that whisper sometimes turns into a storm when another proposal doesn't work out, when another friend announces their engagement, or when another evening is spent alone while others speak of shared homes and children's laughter. And in those moments, it's hard not to feel like you're falling behind or being overlooked, isn't it? But here's what we don't talk about enough: how sacred this stage can actually be when seen through the eyes of wisdom and trust. Being single in your 30s isn't a sign of failure, nor is it a punishment. It's part of a divine timeline uniquely tailored for your growth, your peace, and your deeper purpose. Mufti Menk often reminds us that sometimes the merciful withholds certain things not to hurt us, to help us become the person who can handle what we are asking for. So maybe the delay is a doorway, a disguised blessing, giving you time to heal what you didn't know was wounded, to correct what you didn't know was wrong, to build what you didn't realize was broken. There's a kind of beauty in becoming whole on your own before merging your life with someone else's. And that journey of becoming isn't always glamorous, but it's necessary. It's in these years that many rediscover who they are, what they want, and most importantly, how deeply they need the one who never leaves, the one who stays when others don't, who listens even to the silent tears, and who knows the longing of your heart before you ever say it out loud. And perhaps the reason he hasn't answered your prayer in the way you expected is because he's writing a story greater than the one you were prepared to settle for. So yes, it hurts sometimes, especially when the world makes you feel like you're incomplete, like you're missing out. But that's only because the world defines success through external things: rings, homes, anniversaries, while your Creator sees success in something deeper. How you carry yourself through what was delayed, how you keep your trust alive even when nothing is changing, how you remain grateful in a season that feels heavy. That's where your reward lies, not in reaching the destination, but in how you walk the path. And if you're still walking it alone, it doesn't mean you're behind. It means you're becoming. Think of how many people rush into marriages out of fear of loneliness, only to find themselves emotionally shattered later, praying for an exit from what they once begged to enter. The delay may feel like rejection now, but one day you might look back, thank the merciful for every moment he kept you from what wasn't good for you. That's not being forgotten, that's being protected. And in the meantime, what if we shifted our energy from waiting to becoming? What if instead of obsessing over when someone will choose us, we focus on choosing ourselves, choosing peace, choosing purpose, choosing growth, choosing faith? That energy shift is life-changing. When you stop chasing validation and start honoring your journey, you step into a quiet strength that no relationship status can ever define. Use this time to explore what lights you up. Travel, study, work on yourself emotionally, learn how to set boundaries, learn how to cook your favorite meals, reconnect with your passions, serve your community, and most importantly, talk to your Creator like you would to a close friend. Cry to Him, open your heart, Tell him your fears, your hopes, your heartbreak, and your dreams. That connection becomes your anchor when the world feels shaky. And Mufti Menk says it best. Your worth is not based on whether you're married or not, but on how close you are to the one who created you. And that relationship doesn't require a wedding. It starts now, in the quiet, in the stillness, in the honest conversations you have during sujood, in the tears you wipe in solitude, and in the prayers you whisper that no one else hears. That's where true love begins. And here's something else to remember. Just because you're alone now doesn't mean you'll be alone forever. The one who created your heart also knows exactly what it needs. He hasn't forgotten you. He's preparing you for someone who'll honor your journey, not rush it. Someone who'll cherish the strength it took to wait, not criticize the timeline. And until then, live, not in waiting, but in gratitude. Live as if your story is already beautiful, because it is. Even with the delays, even with the questions, even with the age. This chapter of your life matters, and how you spend it shapes the kind of partner you'll be one day, the kind of soul you'll bring into a union. So don't waste it in regret. Don't shrink yourself just to fit into someone else's idea on time. And please, don't believe the lie that you're behind. You are on your own sacred journey, designed by the one who knows the end from the beginning. And every step you're taking now, even the ones in the dark, are leading you exactly where you need to be. Stay connected, stay soft, stay hopeful, and let this be the season where you fall in love, not just with the idea of marriage, but with your growth, your healing, your creator, and the version of you that emerges from this waiting season stronger, wiser, and ready for what's next. Because what's next isn't just about finding someone, it's about becoming someone. And the journey of becoming is never wasted, even when it feels long. So what does it truly mean to trust the timing of your life when everything around you seems to be moving faster than your own story? What does it feel like to believe that the delay in marriage is not a punishment, but rather a form of divine preparation crafted by the one who knows you better than you know yourself? Let's talk about that. Because while people may offer casual advice like just be patient or your time will come, only you know the depth of what waiting feels like, the quiet pain of attending yet another family gathering where the questions come, the subtle comparison to younger cousins who are already parents, the loneliness of walking into your home alone night after night, wondering if you're being left behind in life's journey. But here's something Mufti Menk repeatedly emphasizes. Sometimes, when it feels like nothing is moving, that's when the most growth is happening beneath the surface. Patience is not passive. It is one of the most active, resilient forms of worship. It takes strength to hold on when your heart is tired. It takes courage to still pray for something that hasn't come yet. It takes humility to surrender your timeline and trust in one that's higher, more complete, and filled with unseen wisdom. The delay is not a void. It is a season. And like every season, it serves a purpose. Maybe you're not meant to rush into a marriage that will drain your peace. Maybe you're being taught how to stand on your own before you lean on someone else. Maybe you're being protected from hard touch that will delay your growth even more. And maybe, just maybe, you're being reminded that true contentment does not begin with a relationship. It begins with inner peace. You see, society often tells us that being in your 30s and single means you failed to meet a milestone. but from an Islamic perspective. Success isn't measured by external events. It's measured by how well you align with your purpose, how deeply you connect with your Creator, and how gracefully you navigate the circumstances written for you. And this season of singlehood, especially in your 30s, can be one of the most sacred spaces for cultivating real depth. It's in this time that you start asking the right questions, not just, when will I get married? But what kind of person am I becoming? Not just someone love me, but am I someone I would be proud to share a life with? This stage, uncomfortable as it may be, is where emotional maturity takes root, where you start building from the inside out. You begin to confront your insecurities. You learn to nurture your own heart. You start distinguishing between loneliness and solitude. And you begin to appreciate the gift of your own company. And in that solitude, if you listen closely, there's something deeply sacred. There's healing in the quiet. There's clarity in the stillness. There's a voice inside you that becomes louder once all the noise fades away, reminding you that you were not created to chase timelines. You were created to walk in alignment with your own divine journey. And in this journey, the merciful is never late. He's not slow. He's intentional. When something hasn't happened yet, it's not because he's forgotten. It's because he's designing something that requires time, growth, maturity, and readiness on both sides. Because remember, marriage isn't just about finding someone. It's about building something. And building something lasting requires a solid foundation. That foundation is what you're working on now, even when no one sees it. Every night you choose prayer over despair. Every time you choose hope over bitterness. Every time you choose to celebrate someone else's joy without resenting your own journey. You're building that foundation. And that matters more than you know. So what do you do in this season while waiting? You prepare. Not with desperation, but with dignity. You work on your character. You learn how to manage your emotions. You develop habits of compassion, communication, forgiveness, and faith. You strengthen your connection with the most gracious, not so you can get what you want faster, but because that connection is what will sustain you even after your prayers are answered. Because let's be honest, even marriage isn't a solution to loneliness if your soul is disconnected from purpose. Even the best spouse can't fill a void that only your Creator was meant to occupy. So use this time wisely. This isn't wasted time. It's sacred time. Time to declutter your soul, to heal from past wounds, to make peace with your fears. Time to identify what triggers you and why. Time to learn how to apologize, how to listen, how to let go of control. These are not small things. They are the very qualities that make or break a marriage. And guess what? You're building them now in the waiting. And when the time comes, when the right person enters your life at the exact moment written for you, you won't be starting from scratch. You'll be walking in with emotional wisdom, spiritual grounding, and a heart that knows its worth. That's the power of patience. It's not about sitting still. It's about becoming. And there's one more thing. Don't let this world rush you. People will always have something to say. They'll project their timelines, their insecurities, their definitions of success. But they don't live your life. They don't cry your tears. They don't carry your tests. Only your Creator knows what you truly need and when you truly need it. So don't trade that trust for temporary validation. Hold your head high, walk your path with grace, and know this: Your worth was never tied to your relationship status. Your story is already valuable, already meaningful, even now, especially now. And if you ever feel like you're falling behind, remember, some people run ahead and crash into walls they didn't see coming. But those who walk with the most wise, even if they walk slowly, arrive exactly where they need to be, with peace in their hearts and light in their steps. So breathe, release the pressure, and remind yourself, I am not late, I am being prepared. I am not forgotten, I am being protected. I am not alone, I am being guided. This journey has value even in the silence. Keep walking, keep growing, keep believing. Have you ever wondered what it really means to embrace the moment you're in? Not just tolerate it, not just endure it, but to fully breathe it in and live it without shame, fear, or regret. Because the truth is, when you're in your 30s and still single, the world around you doesn't pause. It just keeps spinning. Friends start their families, co-workers plan baby showers, the aunties whisper during weddings, and social media is a daily reminder that people seem to be moving on while you're stuck. But are you really stuck? Or is this moment, this very space of solitude, something far more meaningful than you've been taught to believe? Let's unlearn some things together. You see, being single in your 30s isn't a setback, it's a setup for something deeper, richer, and far more grounded than what rush timelines could ever give you. When Mufti Menk speaks about singlehood, he doesn't speak from the lens of pity. He speaks from the lens of divine wisdom. He reminds us that our journey is not defined by when we get married, but by who we become in the process. And that's what this season is about, becoming. Not just finding someone to love you, but learning to love your own company. Not just building a relationship, but building your resilience. Not just preparing a home with someone, but creating a home within yourself. Because if you don't feel safe, whole, and clear within yourself, no relationship will ever feel safe either. Let that sink in. So what do you do with this season? You lean into it. You use this time to confront the parts of yourself that you've been avoiding. You ask the deeper questions. Why do I feel incomplete? Where am I still healing? What triggers my pain? What inspires my joy? These are questions many people never ask until they're already married, overwhelmed and unprepared. But you have time to ask now. You have space to grow now. You have the quietness to heal now. So don't waste this gift. This isn't a pause. This is the preparation that too many people skip. And this preparation, this sacred solitude, it's where you become emotionally intelligent, where you practice forgiveness on yourself, where you break cycles you were never meant to carry into the next generation. It's where you learn how to set boundaries with grace, how to give love without losing yourself, and how to walk away when peace is at risk. All of that takes courage, not just time. So if you're feeling behind, ask yourself, behind what? A timeline created by who? A pressure pushed by people who don't even live your life. It's time to reclaim your pace. Because the merciful has already written your chapter, and it wasn't meant to match someone else's. You are not late. You are in divine alignment. And this alignment doesn't mean silence. It means intention. It means while others are searching for someone to complete them, you're learning how to be whole on your own. That's not loneliness. That's liberation. That's the space where you meet the deepest parts of yourself. The part of you that craves meaning more than attention, purpose more than praise, a connection more than control. you begin to look at relationships differently. Not as a rescue, but as a responsibility. You begin to understand that marriage is not about escaping your wounds, but about sharing your healing. That's why Mufti Menk always reminds us, marriage isn't a reward for waiting, it's a trust for growing. And maybe this season of waiting is actually the growth that will protect your future. So ask yourself, what am I becoming in this wait? Because every choice you make now is either preparing you for peace or for pain. Every habit you build, every value you protect, every prayer you whisper when no one is watching, it all matters. It all echoes into your future. So if you're tired, rest. But don't resent the journey. If you're hurting, heal. But don't rush your timeline. If you're doubting, reflect. But don't compare your process, because your story is not like theirs, and that's the beauty of it. Your story was written by the one who sees your silent tears, who hears your lonely nights, who knows your quiet strength, and he hasn't forgotten you. Not for a second. In fact, sometimes when you feel the most overlooked, that's when you're being carried the most. Sometimes the silence isn't absence, it's mercy. Because the most merciful doesn't give you something you're not ready to protect. So maybe you're not behind, maybe you're just being shielded. Maybe you're not being denied, maybe you're being developed. And maybe, just maybe, the version of you that will step into marriage one day will be so much stronger, wiser, kinder, and more peaceful than anything you could have rushed into now. That's the journey, that's the work. And that's the purpose. So in this time, don't just focus on what's missing. Focus on what's blooming. Build your dreams. Travel with intention. Learn something new. Get comfortable being alone without being lonely. Serve your community. Uplift others. Chase the version of yourself that makes you proud. Because when that day does come, when you do stand beside someone, it won't be from a place of emptiness hoping to be filled. It will be from a place of fullness, ready to give, ready to build, ready to love with wisdom, not just emotion. And until that day comes, remind yourself daily, this chapter matters too. It's not a placeholder, it's part of your purpose. There is dignity in singlehood. There is strength in patience. There is beauty in trusting the unknown. And if the world makes you feel like you're falling behind, remember, some people may appear to have everything, but without internal peace, they have nothing. And some people like you may feel like you have nothing. But if you have peace, if you have faith, if you have growth, you have everything already in place for what's next. So breathe, smile, and keep walking with your head held high, not because you've arrived, but because you're becoming. So here you are, standing at the edge of another day, another month, maybe even another year of being single. And the question lingers, how much longer? It's a question so many carry silently. It's not always asked out loud, but it echoes deep in the heart. In the quiet hours of the night, when the world goes still and the mind starts racing, and you wonder, has the world moved on while I'm still waiting? Have I missed something? Is there something wrong with me? And that's where the pain often hides, not in the waiting itself, in the meaning we attach to it. Because society has a way of measuring your worth by milestones. If you've married, if you've had children, if your life looks like the template everyone else follows. But what if your journey wasn't meant to look like anyone else's? What if your pace was never meant to compete with anyone? What if this season isn't punishment, but preservation? What if the reason the merciful hasn't placed you with someone yet is because you're still being prepared for someone extraordinary. Or maybe because you're being saved from a storm you don't even see. You see, the delay isn't always about timing. Sometimes it's about transformation. And what a gift that is. Because you're not here to just survive singlehood. You're here to grow within it. You're here to thrive in it. To become whole, grounded, connected, and radiant in your own skin. Not waiting to be completed by anyone. Standing complete in the love of your Creator and the peace that comes from trusting Him. When Mufti Menk speaks about singlehood, his words are always gentle, firm, and layered with wisdom. He reminds us that no phase of life is wasted when lived with purpose. And maybe that's what you need to hear right now, that this time is not a void, it is not a gap, it is not a failure. It is fertile ground for greatness. It is sacred soil for your spiritual rise. So instead of asking, when will it end? Ask, what can I build now? What strength can you anchor? What kindness can you share? What knowledge can you seek? What wounds can you finally face? Because the most powerful preparation for the future is not just in waiting, but in working. Working on your emotional clarity, on your faith, on your ability to forgive, to trust, to stay grounded, and to stay grateful even when you're not getting what you want. That's power. That's real power, the kind that isn't loud but lasting. The kind that isn't validated by others but by peace in your own heart. And here's something else people rarely say. It's okay to feel sad sometimes. It's okay to feel lonely. It's okay to wish for companionship, for closeness, for partnership. That doesn't make you weak. That makes you human. Even the strongest hearts have moments where they long to be held, to be seen, to be understood. But the key is not to let that longing turn into self-blame or desperation. Instead, turn it into dua. Turn it into sincerity. Turn it into a sacred connection between you and the merciful, because He listens. He always has. And even in your silence, He sees the depth of what you carry. The world may see you as single, but the most loving sees you as someone strong enough to handle a journey many wouldn't survive. That's why you're still standing. That's why you're still growing. That's why you haven't given up, because something inside you still believes in the unseen plan. And that belief, that faith, is what transforms waiting into worship. That's where the transformation happens. Not in getting what you want, but in becoming who you're meant to be while you wait. So don't let anyone rush your process. Don't let anyone tell you that marriage will fix everything. Because the truth is, marriage doesn't heal you, it mirrors you, and what you don't heal now will show up later. That's why this season matters so much. This is where you heal. This is where you choose growth over grief, trust over timeline, depth over distractions. And that growth doesn't have to be loud. It can be quiet. It can be in the way you speak kanda to yourself, in the way you forgive those who hurt you, in the way you show up every day with integrity and grace, even when no one sees. That's the kind of growth that moves mountains. That's the kind of soul that attracts peace. And one day, when it's written, when the time is right, when your heart is ready and your story is aligned, you will step into a partnership that doesn't complete you, complements you. A relationship that reflects the peace you already built inside. And when that moment comes, you'll look back at these years not with bitterness, but with quiet pride. You'll remember the nights you cried, the days you pushed through, the moments you almost gave up, and you'll smile. Because you'll realize that everything you were hoping for came right on time. Not your time, the perfect time. Until then, live. Don't wait to be loved. Be love. Don't wait to be chosen. Choose yourself. Wait to be invited. Show up fully in your own story. Travel if you can. Study more. Make new friends. Rekindle old dreams. Serve your community. And above all, stay connected to the one who never leaves. Because true fulfillment doesn't come from another person. It comes from purpose. Your purpose didn't pause when your relationship status stayed the same. Your purpose is alive right here, right now, in everything you choose to become. And if you're still struggling with the silence, the empty weekends, the pressure of being the only one not married yet, remember this: being single is not a punishment. It's not a reflection of your worth. It's simply a part of your journey that's preparing you for what's next. Some people spend their whole lives in relationships and never find themselves. You've been gifted this space to discover who you truly are, and that in itself is sacred. That in itself is a blessing in disguise. So let this final reminder settle deep in your heart. You are not forgotten. You are not being punished. You are not behind. You are being crafted, shaped, softened, and strengthened by the Most Wise. And when the time is right, everything will fall into place. Not because you rushed it, because you trusted the one who knows every secret of your heart. Until then, keep becoming, keep blooming, keep believing. And most importantly, keep walking. Because every step you take in faith is a step closer to what's already written for you. And when you finally arrive at that moment, you'll realize you were never waiting in vain. You were growing in grace. So, take a deep breath, lift your head, and walk with purpose. Because this single chapter was never a detour. It was part of your divine path all along.